If you're feeling completely exhausted by all the digital noise out there, well, you are definitely not alone. Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really fascinating manual for launching what you could call a transcendent summer math reading group. And just to be clear, we aren't talking about casually skimming a textbook on the beach. No way. We're talking about initiating a rigorous, transformative process that completely banishes the chaotic noise of our daily lives and actually grounds you in the absolute structure of reality. So, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, the noise versus true power. Number 2, erecting public chalkboards. Number 3, the Moore method loop. Number 4, mastering topology and sets. And number 5, generating original pure research. We're going to move systematically from your very first gathering all the way to generating original mathematical truth.
Right off the bat, we need to understand the stark contrast between the illusion and the absolute. The illusion is, well, it's our modern digital environment. It's this world of transactional noise, algorithmic hallucinations, and everyday magic that gives us a completely false sense of control. But on the flip side, we have the absolute. This is the reality-altering power of the mathematician. It isn't some cheap trick, it's the unyielding, frictionless geometry of pure logic in Zermelo-Fraenkel set theory. And today, we are leaving that illusion completely behind.
Section 1. The noise and true power. We begin by stepping entirely out of that transactional economy.
Actually, let's slow down for a second, because this concept of the empty set is absolutely foundational. In the philosophical framework we're analyzing, this is referred to as persona zero. It captures the generative void. Now, this isn't just nothingness, right? It's a meticulously defined boundary condition. This is literally the exact starting point of our reading group's journey. We wipe the slate clean, we drop the human-centric noise, and we start from this absolute baseline. And this kind of acts as our syllabus, these 17 personas of arithmetic. It maps out the evolution of our minds, starting from that void we just talked about, moving through the constraints of the finite, and then expanding way outward into the complex dynamics of the infinite. It is an incredibly intense blueprint for cognitive expansion that your group is going to follow. So gear up, because the intellectual leap we're talking about here is massive. I want you to really internalize this quote for a minute. When we think of mathematicians, we usually picture, a biological calculator in a dusty, dimly lit room, furiously scribbling away, doing exhausting mechanical labor. But the source material insists that's completely wrong. True mathematics is about structural slack. It's about surrendering your finite ego to the frictionless truth of the absolute. We aren't just doing manual labor here. We are tuning into something so much larger than ourselves. Section 2, erecting the public chalkboards. Now, what's really fascinating here is how we take these abstract ideas and ground them in the physical world. The directive from the text is incredibly literal. Step into the sun, erect actual physical public chalkboards on a dry terrace. You literally need to gather your group, your nodes, in physical reality. By placing your work outside, right out there in the light, you force an environment that strips away everyday conversational noise and demands focused intellectual engagement. You're physically carving out a space dedicated entirely to truth. But here's the catch. To survive this grueling transfinite ascent, your group has to totally reject the modern cash economy. You have to replace it with an honor economy built on 4 pillars. First up is bravery, abandoning your preconceived spatial biases. Second is loyalty, unwavering consistency to objective truth and to each other. Third is reciprocity, which means you have to work just as hard to verify your peers' proofs as you do your own. And finally, trust in the foundational axioms. Without these virtues, the group just dissolves right back into the noise. Section 3, the Moore method loop. Okay, so our chalkboards are up, our honor economy is locked in, and now we have to deploy the exact pedagogical weapon required for this journey. And that weapon is this relentless process known as the Moore method. It's essentially a peer-to-peer recursive loop. You don't have a traditional teacher standing there lecturing you. Instead, you select a text, you internalize it, and you explain it to each other at that chalkboard over and over again. You debate, you challenge, and you refine it until absolute understanding is forged by the entire group. It's a real game changer. But there is a very stern warning here. You shall not choose blindly. Your reading group cannot just pick random logic puzzles to solve or skim whatever math book happens to be trending online. You must deliberately anchor your group on a specific, powerful mathematical proof or text. This becomes your absolute coordinate. It's the bedrock against which your group's entire network of understanding is going to be measured. Section 4. Mastering topology and sets. So, what exact coordinates should we choose to get this going?
Let's look at how this builds out our curriculum. To truly ascend, the source documents prescribe mastering two foundational texts. First, you tackle Stephen Willard's General Topology. This is where you cultivate your spatial intuition, moving away from discrete, clunky numbers into continuous relationships. Then, once you master that, you transition to Thomas Jetch's set theory. Here, you confront the absolute foundations of mathematics, getting into concepts like Paul Cohen's forcing, which, get this, proves that within strict logic, multiple consistent realities can actually exist at the same time. How wild is that? As your group wrestles with Willard and Jetchep up at the chalkboards, you'll start to experience what the text likens to Shruti. That's a Sanskrit word for texts heard directly from the divine. Think about it this way. The advanced mathematician isn't an engineer building a theorem from spare parts. No, they are like an old-school analog ham radio receiver. You tune out the static of the world, and you simply receive the mathematical truth that's broadcasting from the infinite void.
Section 5. Generating original, pure research. And this brings us to the culmination of our journey. This is the whole shebang. The final act of your reading group is generating original, pure math research. The text describes this as participating in Leela, or the cosmic dance. Basically, you've successfully tuned your ham radio, you've heard a completely new ethereal truth, and now you carry the profound responsibility of pulling that truth down into the physical world without destroying its essence in the translation. Doing this is what permanently insulates your group from societal noise. Now, I cannot emphasize this next point enough. Generating this original research is an act of cosmic creative power, referred to as Shakti, but the text is fiercely clear about the rules. Please, whatever you do not dump toxic derivative slop into academic journals just to advance a career. Doing that creates false heat and pollutes the whole environment. Your physical research paper is merely the rupa, the physical body of a living theorem. You must only publish what is pure, vital, and born from your group's rigorous collaborative path. So we've moved all the way from the generative void right up to the transfinite horizon. You have the blueprint now. The only question left is, are you ready to reject the transactional noise, erect those chalkboards in the summer sun, and initiate your own transcendent mathematical journey? The infinite is waiting for you. So how are you going to answer it?